You're doing a couple. You can't go on the video. So silly. That was so silly.
Hey, Scott, how are you?
Good. How you doing, Patrick?
Doing awesome, my friend. Doing awesome. What'd you think with having Denny on?
That was great. That was really good.
He's a rock star. He's interested in doing it again. So this will be kind of fun. Maybe we'll do a series with that.
That'd be great.
And who knows, maybe we'll get Kristen Cole on the line too. Get them both on the line, and then holy cow, get ready.
Yeah.
Have some fun. Well, very cool. We'll get started here. Let's see here. Awesome. You're the first one on, Scott. So we will get started in just a moment here. Actually, you know what? Let's just get started. You know, there was a and I'll repeat this as some of our other KW family comes on the line. So I heard a quote today that I thought was really interesting. And it was for the stock market, after 8 years of growth was completely wiped out in 4 days. Hey, Freddie.
Hey.
And so when you look at that and you say, wow, 8 years of growth in the stock market was reversed in 4 days. So if you were to use that to test motivation around someone looking to sell their home, what do you think that would look like? What do you think that that conversation, how that would go?
I mean, I guess it depends on their scenario. I mean, like I've got a client who was looking to move up, and that caused them to say, we're gonna wait a while and see how this all settles out. I suppose if you're someone who's looking to possibly downsize, it might be a good indicator that now's a good time to do it.
Right. Well, it shows. Hey, Jim, how are you, buddy? It shows it shows the change and how quickly things can change, right? So it's not just a slow burn. Sometimes it does happen where it's very, very quickly. And this was unprecedented on how fast. My question would be, you know, Mr. Seller, if you saw that you saw that the stock market changed dramatically within a 4-day period after 8 years of growth, what do you think would happen? What do you think is going to happen to possible home values? Do you think you're going to make more today than you will tomorrow, or do you think you're going to make less tomorrow than you will today? And reviewing the motivation, so 1 out of 10, how does that motivation start to look? Hey, William. So it makes you start to think about that. It's same with the home buying process too, right? If we know that the markets can change that quickly, how quickly can our real estate market change? Denny had talked about that a little bit. Really it's, you know, when you start looking at market shifts and how they go from slow to fast, right? What we're seeing today, you know, truly, I mean, there's a stay at home until April 30th. There's a very, very good chance that this continues. I was on a call earlier today, listening. I wasn't participating in this one. I was listening, and it was with the CEO of Compass, the CEO of HomeSmart, the CEO of, the founder of HomeSmart, the CEO of, who's it, Berkshire. They're all in alignment that they believe 2 things. They believe that Pennsylvania is going to see the peak of this, and it will be in July. They don't think that it's going to be a 30, 60-day deal. They're all hedging and preparing for that. So really, when you look at motivation, are we able to, one, have a very direct and captivating conversation with a home buyer or home seller, right? To test that motivation. Do they know what they're risking by waiting or not waiting? And that could be part of it, is when we're really looking at this. And tactic number 4 is find the motivated. So here's something fun. If I was just going to read this, then we would have to cover 32 pages in 25 minutes. So instead of just reading as fast as I can to you, let's dive into this, and we're going to pick out different pieces. And really, this is a mastermind. So I'd like to get your thoughts on this, on how are you taking it? So let's start it with this. There's a famous quote: if your ship doesn't come in, swim out to it. by Jonathan Winters, right? Our ship is not in right now. Let's just be real for a second. This is our opportunity to swim out to it. The question is how far are we going to have to swim? So knowing that, or what leverage tools can we use to get there sooner and faster and more efficiently? You know, we're playing the juggle at home, and I commend everyone for that. Yet if we just stopped, if we just hit a pause button and then picked it back up in a month, the challenge is this: you won't feel it directly. What you'll feel is in 2 months or 3 months, that's when the hit happens. And the challenge behind that, and this goes into motivation, the challenge behind that is it's kind of like pricing, right? If we have a home seller and they're testing the market, how many of us have heard that one, right? Hey, I want to test the market. Oh, for sure. So if they're testing the market, what happens? The market continues to move, right? So if the market's staircasing and it's moving and we're priced over here and the market has gone this way, what happens? If they're not priced in the market, what happens?
Nothing. They don't move. It sits.
Right. True, Jim. And nothing yet does something happen, right? What happens with buyer perception when that goes on?
Oh, there's something wrong with the house.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because it sits. Yeah.
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 So
And then it doesn't matter what you do. Now you start dropping the price, and it doesn't. Now there's something wrong with the house because they keep dropping the price. It's a terrible vicious cycle.
exactly.
I really learned that whole lesson last year about price it right first time in, because all the sellers that I had that were just confident that their house was worth $20,000 more than anybody else in the neighborhood, all paid the price. So yeah.
So really, when we're looking at it, right, I don't know if you all can see that. It's the tale of two markets, isn't it?
Mhm.
There's the market that homes are selling and homes are being bought in, and there's the market that they're not. And Jim, what you had just said was perfect, because this is literally what happened. If we're
Mhm.
priced up here because we're testing motivation and the market's moving faster than we're willing to adjust, now we have to do a major price improvement. I mean, we're talking 10% and higher just
Yeah.
to get in front of the market. So when we're looking at motivation, does it make more sense, especially now, to price in front of the market, right? Price to where you're in market number one, not market number two. Because we have this incredible market here in Denver, and we have for the last several years, whereas if the home's on the market for what, 5 days, everyone thinks something's wrong with it, right? The doors must not work, roof is caving in. It's been 5 days. The market that I came from, in a healthy market, was 90 days. Maybe you'd get 60, but it's typically around 90. During the recession, it was double. So even here, are we prepared to be having a home on the market? We talked about one strategy, right, is the longer listing agreements. So are we prepared to have a home here in Denver on the market for 90 days? Maybe it's 120 days. So a lot of conversations happen with that. The key is to over communicate, not under communicate. So when we really start diving, yeah, absolutely.
Can I ask a question? What do you see in terms of pricing? I'm really conflicted in the sense that we're still in a seller's market because we still don't have the inventory, but then we have all this other crisis going on. Where does this go? Do prices really come down at some point, or is it still a seller's game because we just don't have the inventory? Even with buyers falling off?
I think that's a great question. The challenge is we're seeing there's 2.3 million people who filed for unemployment in the last 3 weeks.
Right.
So, and we're seeing companies, we're even seeing some of our competitors have to lay off their staff and their teams, right? And it's because they're shifting, they're pivoting very quickly.
Okay.
What I heard earlier today on that podcast was cash is king. We don't know what the economic challenges that are going to arise 90 days after this is over. And that's really where we see the real estate industry going is it a seller's market based on inventory? Yes.
Mhm.
Here's the challenge. Even if you have 5 homes on the market and the buyers won't get in the cars to go look at them, or won't see the virtual tours or those pieces, right? Or they feel there's fear. Like, fear is a very real thing. We talk about it being false expectations appearing real, right? Now, internally, we know that there's fear that's going on. I mean, I can see it right
Yeah,
out,
this is
even
real.
on
Yeah,
this.
this is real.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the challenge is, we have been in economic shifts before. Now, if I was going to look at pricing, couple different things. With pricing, I think the key piece is to price extremely aggressively now, because then if the home is in great condition, it's accessible, right? Or virtually, or whether that's digitally or physically, right? And we can help with that. So condition, accessibility, and location. We can't change the location, can't pick the home up and move it. So the only other piece is pricing, right? So the homes that are priced effectively, that's what happened with Rhonda over the weekend. 12 offers,
Yeah.
right? 12 offers just went on the market, and all of that was digital. Well, if a home seller has a high enough motivation and they want to get their home sold today in today's market, then they have to, one, stage it or have it condition wise, right? Curb appeal, all those fun things. It's kind of like taking us back 10 years, right? The homes that were in great condition, priced right, and good locations, or maybe location, just take location off, pricing and condition. If they're priced right and in great condition, they'll sell. There's always a buyer.
Mm-hmm.
If it's priced too high or in shoddy condition, yeah, it's going to be hard, and it may sit. That's the key on going back to motivation, and that's really why there's 32 pages in this chapter, is because it's all around how to find the motivated, right? How do we flip over the rock?
Okay.
So the first piece around that is moving past our myths, right? Homes don't sell, it's an economic change. Homes don't sell, it's a pandemic. No one's selling, everybody's at home, nothing's going on, right? The reality is the home buyers are spending way more time online than they ever were before. I mean, we all get notifications on our phones, right? Like, screen time is up, right? Mine is averaging about 27% increases every week. So that's from my side, and I'm not out there shopping homes. So I think right now you're finding out that they're absolutely out there. The key is, what are they looking at, right? Home sellers, same exact conversation, right? So it's do homes sell? Yes, they do. Rhonda is walking proof of that one, even just off of this last weekend. So moving past our myths, whatever we create, that's why the mindset is so important. In lead generation right now is absolutely critical. Does it take a different shape than it has before? Yeah. It's care and empathy first, and then that goes into, who do you know, or how can I help? I mean, how can I help is so powerful right now. Which one of your neighbors could I help? The neighbors are talking. I mean, we were talking to our neighbors, and we're just 8 feet away, and I'm in a driveway, and they're by my mailbox, right? So people are talking, and they're bored. I went and took yesterday. I went and took Haven out on a stroller walk. Right, I was trying to hang with Freddie and walking the dog, it was. I walked by this guy, and he was like, kind of looked stressed, and he was on a trail, and I was, 12 feet away or whatever. I said, "How's it going?" And he just looked at me and goes, "Man, this is hard. We've never talked before, ever." And I was like, "Well, what's hard about it?" And he's an older gentleman, right? He has grandkids. He's got these things. He's got all these plans. He had money in the stock market. Like, this is real. This is very real. So how do we find those questions and make them deep questions once we've been allowed into it? If you start with a really deep question off the bat, it's going to be pretty difficult to really get them to open up. So you got to practice forward: family, occupation, recreation, dreams. The first step, though, on motivation: stop doing what doesn't work. Stop it. If it's not giving you energy, if it's not working, if it's not, stop. Focus on your strengths. Focus on what you do really well. Review your value proposition, right? What sets you apart from 22,000 other realtors and licensees in Denver? because that's how many there are. So how, right? How do we have those conversations? Step two, figure out what works. So there's things in our business, each one of us, when we dive into the business and really look at it, there's things that are working, right? Focus on those things. And we may have to pivot, we may have to change, and know that being uncomfortable is showing that you're growing. So the growth is through the uncomfort. There's the quote here, there's motivated buyers and sellers out there. The question is, are we doing the right things to find them? And tie that in with your business. What's working could be the right thing. There's 2 M's of lead generation. There's one is the message. Now, the message is going to be either a match for the market or it's going to be making an offer, right? So if we look at that, I don't know if y'all can see that there, but there's a message and there's the method. And this is on page 58. So it gives us a visual on the responses there too, right? So what is our message we're putting out there? I would advise you, I really would advise you on this one, be careful how you joke about this online. We talk about this a lot and I say it a lot and I really mean it, because there are folks who are getting massively impacted and they don't think it's funny. So, right, so just be careful around those pieces. So your message needs a method. Once we're clear about the messages, you will use, once you're clear about the messages you will use, you must pick your methods for getting them out. There's 2 categories all lead generation methods fall into, are prospecting and marketing. Who can tell me the difference quickly on that? Prospecting and marketing.
So prospecting is chasing leads and marketing is attracting leads.
Yes, absolutely. What's and you're right on that, Freddie. The key between prospecting and marketing is the dollars we're investing. So one of the, especially right now, make no mistake, we are in a market shift. Straight up, we're in one right now. So are we prospecting focused and marketing enhanced, or are we marketing focused and prospecting enhanced? The choice is completely up to you. What I would advise is go prospecting heavy, marketing enhanced. That way you're able to really play red light and green light with your expenses, which we talked about that in tactic number 2. So some examples of prospecting would be if we were calling FSBOs, expireds, just sold, just listed, past clients, allied resources, other businesses, right? Geographic farm areas. Maybe it's apartment complexes, builders, third-party companies. And then that ties into face-to-face, right? Which, you know, that could be anywhere from face-to-face digitally now. So it's having that opportunity. Are you using the technology that's in front of you? Marketing, by definition, is going to be advertising, like, you know, newspapers, radio, personal vehicles, bus stops, whatever that looks like. Promotional items like magnets, calendars, internet websites, direct mail. If you begin to farm neighborhoods, just know that it's a long-term game. It's not a short-term game. If you go short-term, someone like me will come in right behind you and will take the business. Because I know that there's on average, it's 60 days to 90 days for most agents to start a farming campaign and then pull out altogether. So I just wait to 3 months and then go in there heavy. So be cautious of that. And that would be, you know, different types of farming. Now you can do online farming. You could do farming through your Facebook and create groups, prospective home buyers, right? Who are your motivated? If you were to look at all your friends on Facebook, whether they're in Denver or not, because if they're not, no problem, we have referral opportunities, right? So are you able to break them apart into groups and target your marketing target your prospecting that way, right? If you're using Command, which goodness gracious, I hope you're using Command, you're able to target that through Facebook, and the leads right now are even inside of $1 per lead, which is unheard of, and it's very, very specific on targeting. So that would be another way, is go into groups. you know, really right now, the value of a realtor is higher than it's ever been. In at least the last 10 years, at least, if not the last 20 years. So this is the opportunity to really create a value conversation and proposition for you. You know, are we getting strategic? Are we using digital open houses, things like that? Step number 3 is ramp it up. So we talked about focus in on what works. Now ramp it up. We have a saying that's called the 15th protocol. 15th protocol basically is, for those, you know, not familiar with it, is that you have your goals for the month. Once you reach the 15th of the month, you're either on track or you're not. So 15th protocol would be, what are you ramping up? What are you adding to your daily lead generation to where you can now bridge that gap and be able to hit your goals by the end of the month? So that could be a conversation as well, is what do we need to add to what we're currently doing? And keeping your expenses in check, please, please, please. Time blocking, of course, is extremely important. If we're not time blocking, even in the madness, right? I was joking about this yesterday, because Haven is notorious for coming into my Zoom calls and anytime I'm on the phone almost. And am I time blocking, right? So am I being efficient and taking advantage of the time that he's napping? Because if I'm not, then I just lost that opportunity, and it's very hard to get back later. You know, what do you do in your 3-hour period? Do you prepare? Do you take action? Do you maintain? Do you prepare, take action, maintain? How do you prepare every day to where you start to work, right? How do you prepare for that? Do you have your call list that you do the night before, right? Maybe you're doing things alphabetically, or you're going into your Facebook groups and breaking them apart the night before. So then that way you can be very efficient with your time. Another key piece here, and I think, you know, and we'll break in just a second to ask, but get in the path of business. What do you have to do to to be a disruptor, to get in the way? So if you looked at your business and you said, gosh, you know what my goal is for this month is to take 5 listings. And now the whole market is flipped upside down, right? All of a sudden we have all these different pieces. Okay, where can I get in the way to still get that business? Where is that a relationship that I have? Is it planting myself in a social media feed, right? Maybe it's some kind of moving to Denver group, something like that. How do I get in the way, right? Who do I know that could be in the health professions right now? Because obviously their business is going kind of gangbusters, right? Like truly. So who do I know that's in the health, the medical industry that may be moving to Denver? Maybe they know someone moving to Denver. You know, part of this is really diving in deep and looking at it going, how do I get in the way? Think of disruption. What are your thoughts on that? Let's take a recap here.
Well, I think the reason I asked the earlier questions, what's in my head is I talked to one of my bigger investors yesterday. He's sitting on the sidelines. He's waiting for prices to come down. He says as soon as prices come down, he's in, he's buying. So my game today is how many investors can I go find to start lining up for the next 90, so in 90 days when things start to shake out, if prices come down, I should have a lot of opportunities with investors. That's what's in my head. That's what I'm working on today.
Yeah. Well, and Jim, you bring up a good point. Investors talk to investors, right? Don't we surround ourselves with like people?
Yeah.
So if I'm a home seller, I'm going to talk to other home sellers, right? I'm going to talk to my neighbors. Hey, you know what? I know you just bought in the neighborhood. How was the process, right? Who do you know? If I'm buying, same conversation. If I'm investing, investors absolutely play very, very close together. The key with an investor is how many properties do you need to buy, not are you looking to buy a property?
Right.
Because it's a portfolio. That's awesome. What's another one, guys? So think of like what and I know we've gone fast. So think of what we've been covering. What does it make you think of?
Well, what I got out of this, as far as I could read, as you know, what's working, not working, but also to fall in love with lead generation. You know, I mean, and
Yeah.
I think, I feel alone in this. Like, well, I love the whole real estate business, but I don't really like their lead generation. And then Gary said, I was in the same boat too until I
Mhm.
started doing it. And then the more I did it, the better I got at it, and the more leads I got. And it was just, effort equals success. So
Mhm.
that part was like kind of motivating for me because I'm like, all right, I've read all the stuff, but it kind of like hit home where I'm like, all right, you need to at least prospect, but with the care call, right? Just go, what can I do for you? How are you doing? What can I do for you? That's the minimum I should be doing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and we're protecting on them, aren't we? I mean, isn't that really what's going on? We're protecting our home buyers and our home sellers, and we're protecting them against an agent that isn't experienced, who's someone's cousin or brother or whatever that just got their license. They don't have a clue on what's going on. If they don't know what's going on, how are they possibly going to price the home? How are they going to know what that good deal is outside of looking on MLS and when it says good deal in capitals, right? They're not. So it's key that now we have the experience. And when you have the right method that you're using and you're going care first, that's really easy to start talking motivation, right? 1 out of 10. 1 being never, ever, ever gonna buy. 10 being would have bought yesterday. Where are we sitting? We had a gauging rule with that, whether they're a home buyer or home seller. If they were a 6 or a 7, I can get them. Because what do we need to do in order to make this a 10? What do we need to do in order to make this a 9? If this property was a 9 out of a 1 through 10 scale, would you put in the offer and buy it? Right? If the opportunity was high enough and we protected your appreciation, Mr. Home Seller, 1 out of 10 and 9, 8, 9, and 10, you're going to put your home on the market. What specifically do we need to do to get you there? Right? What's going to stop you? A great way of asking for motivation. What are the top 3 reasons you wouldn't buy today? What are the top 3 reasons you wouldn't list today? It's a very, very powerful negotiation tactic, right? If I know that, then I can come up with solutions. And guess what? Who gave me those reasons? Did I give the reasons? They did. It's theirs. So if I can isolate what's stopping them, what's causing that gap, then I can bridge it. The key around that is finding that motivation. No matter what, homes are bought and homes are sold and homes are bought, right? There's always active buyers and sellers, no matter what, all the way back to like the beginning of mankind, bought, sold, traded. That it just is. So that's still going to happen today. And in fact, Rhonda talked about that. The key is how are we preparing? What activities are we doing? And because of those activities, which could be the scripting, the dialogues, those conversations you're having to gauge the motivation. Now, what does that look like for a close? And then we can wrap it up. There are folks that will come out of this and their business will double, quadruple. It'll happen, I promise you. And there's others that in 90 days will be out of business. And I promise both of those will happen. So the key is going to be not letting a fear get to us, not letting those kinds of things get to us. What is our motivation? We have to go internal before we go external. They don't even talk about that in Shift. But if you were to really look at this, what is your motivation right now? What gets you started? What gets you going, right? Is it just the bills? Because I'm going to push back on you with that. There's something bigger going on. So if our motivation is high enough, will we do the activities? And now, the coolest thing about that, we just created a bridge between that home buyer and us. Hey, you know what, Jim Brown, I know that my motivation is skyrocket right now because I'm all about this to protect families in this time of uncertainty. And I know that you were interested in buying in Cherry Creek in the next 90 days. Now I'm going to take a motivation conversation with them, right? What does this look like? And you could even do, and this goes into a whole different coaching conversation. You could do something, I know we'll kind of finish on this one. Positive present, positive future, negative present, negative future. So positive present, who wants to role play this guy with me? Because this will help you with motivation.
I'll do it.
Cool, Freddie. So, all right, Freddie. So I'm the agent. You're the home seller, right? So awesome, Freddie. Hey, you know what? I wanted just to give you a quick call follow up with you. You talked about putting your home on the market in the next 30 days, and I know there's a lot going on right now. I just want to check in, see first of all, how are you and your family doing?
We're okay. We're a little scared about, stock market, and my wife lost her job. So we're kind of like laying low until, all this settles and see where we land.
Gotcha. Well, I'm sorry to hear about your wife's job, and hopefully this can create some opportunities as our market continues to shift a little bit here. Now, a question for you, Freddie. We had talked about putting your home on the market. Are you still interested in doing that?
Not really, not right now. Right now we want to stay put. We're kind of grateful we have, a low mortgage and all that, and then we can stay here until things kind of settle and we're more decisive.
Perfect. So, and I just wanted to review, and I appreciate you letting me know that. I just wanted to review, what was the reason that you were selling your home for? Why were you selling or looking to sell?
Well, we were looking to sell to see if we could upgrade. We got 3 kids and 4 dogs, and we got a small yard. So we kind of outgrew this one.
Gotcha. Okay. So awesome. So let's now that's positive future, right? That's what I'm taking him to right now. And I'm doing that on purpose. I'm painting the picture of what could have been. So now I'm going to take it down to negative present, right? Which the key around this is actually, maybe 1 second here. I had my things messed up. Okay. So had to make a little adjustment there. So what you do is you take, like I just did, positive present. The next thing I'm going to go into is negative present, right, with Freddie. So Freddie, you had just mentioned that your wife had lost her job. I'm really sorry to hear that. Gosh, you think that that's happening quite a bit right now, or what are you hearing on your side?
Yeah, it's pretty much, I read somewhere that 2.5 million more unemployment applications. So seems to be all around the nation.
Yeah, it does. That's kind of scary. So knowing that, and you had mentioned that, before it was upsizing and, having the kids and the dogs and all that good stuff in the space, right? So my question is Freddie, taking your home off the market, how long is that going to delay upsizing for you?
I would say we're thinking about just not doing anything for another 4 or 6 months.
Gotcha, 4 or 6 months. Now, there's a little bit of uncertainty going on right now, correct, in our market?
Yeah.
So knowing that the stock market, which has grown for the last 8 years, took a massive dive in 4 days, what do you think would happen in the real estate market 6 months from now?
I think the prices are going to probably drop.
True. So if your prices drop, Freddie, and you don't get that equity out of the home so you can go upsize and buy that next home, is that going to delay your plans?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and now what I'm doing, that's negative present. Now I'm going to take them down to negative future right here, right? So gosh, Freddie, I'm sure that by not selling your home, or choosing not to sell your home with me because of the market, and we're waiting for 6 months, then, and we don't know the certainty of the market, right? We know that the market will be changing, and we know that we're about 90 days out from that. What's also interesting, Freddie, is that we also know that there's an election coming up in 6 months. So, Freddie, what typically happens when an election's going on with interest rates?
You probably stay low. I don't know. You tell me.
Yeah, well, you know, what we know is that every year for the last, gosh, I would say 30 years, anytime that there's a presidential election going on, there's market volatility. Well, what happens when that's normal? Now, with everything going on, could that cause some massive spikes or drops in the financial market?
Right.
So my question then, Freddie, is that if we wait and we know that now homes are selling for less than 6 months, and there's volatility in the financial market where the interest rates could realistically go higher, much higher. So now we impacted your selling power and your buying power. So what would this look like to have to wait this out for another 2 or 3 years? Are you prepared to do that in your home that you're in?
No, I don't think so.
Gotcha. Okay, so that sounds like a pretty real pain, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So, and notice how I'm doing this, right? I'm going to turn the knife, but now my responsibility is to pull Freddie out of that, right? Give him motivation, give him something he can focus in on so he doesn't get off the call and think I'm an ass. Let's just be real, right? So, because otherwise, what am I doing? I'm demotivating him, aren't I? So by motivating him, so Freddie, check this out. You know what's really cool right now? One of our agents had 12 offers, multiple offers this last weekend. The market's on fire, actually. And in fact, I'll send you some statistics that we do on a daily basis so you can see that the market's still moving. So if we price your home effectively and in front of the market, have it in great condition, work together between doing this digitally while there's a stay-at-home in effect, and best part, we also know that other sellers are having the same concerns you are, the same fears you are. Now, here's the difference with them, Freddie. They're going to pull their home off the market. Now, if you have less competition in your local area, what do you think that's going to do to your price and the likelihood of selling your home?
It's going to increase it.
Right. Here's something even cooler. So we talked about upsizing and that being the reason for selling, right? So now the interest rates still are low. In fact, we just heard that they could be at 3.5% for the next 90 days, which is awesome. So being that there's less homes on the market, you're able to get top dollar, sell your home quickly, sell your home without it being a inconvenience, right? As much as we can prevent. Now those 4-bedroom homes we've been talking about, if they're not getting the activity and they're staying on the market, what's going to happen to their price?
It's going to drop.
Going to go down, right? So now we're able to take advantage of the selling market, the buying market, and the interest rates. And oh, by the way, we also have another tool called Keller Mortgage that we could share that a homeowner could either at no cost refi, or they could come in and get a low rate. Be happy to send that to you as well, so you know what we're looking at. But does that so you may not have to wait, Freddie. That's the coolest thing here. Is you might actually, by listing your home with me in the next 30 days, be able to take advantage of the market, take your unfair share, and move your family into a 4-bedroom home with space before the summer hits. Doesn't that sound awesome?
That does.
Yeah, so let's get this going and we'll sign the paperwork today, right? So you see how I did that? And now I took that kind of a little bit long-winded, and it's all on sequence here. It's positive present, negative future, positive future. And when I do that, I can take them and now I can really gauge their motivation. Because if Freddie's willing to stay on the phone with me for 10 minutes to have that conversation, he's got a reasonable amount of motivation. And that's how I can close him. Questions, comments?
Well, I know we're over time, but how would you do it with the buyer then? Because it seems like you pretty much convinced me to list now. But if I was a buyer, I'm like, man, I'm gonna wait it out because prices are gonna go down, and
Yeah, totally. So one of the ways that I would say is review that motivation. Gosh, Freddie, when we were looking at homes, I'm sure you looked at homes 6 months ago, right? Either there's online or you and your wife were checking stuff out, right?
right,
Man,
yeah.
didn't it seem like the inventory was just moving so fast? Like multiple offers, all these different things going on, right? Never even get a chance to get your offer in before it's sold.
Yeah, it was within hours sometimes.
Yeah. So Freddie, what if I could share with you some statistics that show 7 out of 10 buyers have actually hit the pause button. And now they're on the sideline putting you in the best position possible.
That would make sense.
Yeah, and we still have that low interest rate. So even though and see, Jim, how this is playing into inventory, even though the inventory is low because of what's going on in our communities, across states, right? Everything that's going on right now is causing buyers to hit the pause button. Now, if buyers hit the pause button, Freddie, you have an opportunity. That's why investors are loving this, by the way,
Right.
because they're just building it up. They're going straight for their cash flow right now. So, Freddie, what I'd love to do is to be able to send you some homes that 4-bedroom homes where you get that low interest rate. You can, low cost on your mortgage. And you may be one of the only families that has a chance to see this digitally. And if you'd like to go over physically, then I'll work that out with the sellers. We'll have those conversations. May take some precautions, but we'll work it out. What do you think about that, Freddie?
I'm in.
Awesome. So see, all I did is flipped it, right? And the key is around this is it has to be real. If it's not real, then we're selling. And if we're selling, they can smell it 3,000 miles away. So no matter what I did, I went back to Freddie, his family, the opportunity, and I let him answer the questions. I wanted to. I was biting the inside of my lip. I wanted to. It's true. So practice that, right? Let the sound of silence create that weight that is massive in negotiations, is that once you've made your point, zip, and let it sit. And sometimes it takes 10 to 15 seconds. Sometimes it takes a minute where they cough, and their coughing is they made the first sound. Now, once they did that, you're that much closer to putting that deal together. Remember that silence causes thinking, right? It doesn't mean they're ignoring us. It just means that it's causing us to think. Like I can see all of you right now thinking. So, except for Electra.
I'm definitely thinking.
And
in fact, I'm thinking about how I need to sign up for your complimentary coaching session. How do I sign up for that, by the way?
Yep, talk with Amber. We'll get you all lined up. Not an issue. Okay. So, but that's the point, guys, is really when you look at motivation, what does that mean? What does motivation mean? How can we use that as a tool? Not a selling tool, a caring tool, right? That's the conversation. That's the way we can tie it together. So on Friday, we will continue on and we'll have shift tactic number 5, which, dun, 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 we'll be getting to the table, lead conversion. So awesome, right? So do me a favor, if you would, bring a friend on Friday. And Freddie, same with you, my friend. Bring somebody with you on Friday, because the reality is they're not getting these conversations. And because of that, they're getting further and further and further behind. And my number one concern, and I mean this, and this isn't a KW pitch at all, it is a community pitch though. It is our real estate industry. It's our job as realtors to back each other up, especially when times are changing. So please reach out. I appreciate each of you being on this call, and let me know if you have other comments, questions, concerns, anything like that. Call me on my cell. Electra, I don't know if you have my cell. It's 907-242-7653.
Okay.
And I think everyone else has it. So yeah, And ALC, Jim and Scott will be talking with you guys at 2:30. All right. Thank you very much.
you.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Freddie, for joining us.
Thank you.